space. It's all rap people from what I can gather, and people doing I don't know, demos and electronica and stuff like that. I haven't seen anybody in my genre or even close to it that's doing NFTs.
Well, that could be exciting. As you said, you could be the very first.
You never know.
I've got some friends that know a lot more than me, so we'll chat afterwards. But Fiona, I do believe we're probably live. All things going well in this wonderful world of digital. But
cheers!
Cheers! Thank you very much for joining us. Lovely to have you.
Thank you.
So, ladies and gents, thank you for joining us on Naked Passion Podcast. We have the inimitable, fantastically talented Fiona Joy Hawkins joining us from her. Is that your home studio there?
This is my office. This is the office of Little Heartland Music. And it's night time here. It's 7 o'clock. So hopefully, I don't know what you can see behind me, but it's a pretty messy office.
No, perfect. A lot better than my room anyway, but that's fantastic. So I did see a few of your YouTube videos, and before we sort of dive deep into that, your piano is stunning, absolutely stunning.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's Stewart and Sons.
So do you want to tell us, I guess, first and foremost, a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's made by Wayne Stewart, who's an Australian. He's actually from Tasmania. And it's using Tassie Huon pine wood, which makes it kind of pretty special. It's the second one that he ever made, and it has 97 keys and a different tuning system, and it's got 4 pedals. So it's a really unusual piano to play, and it's a 9-foot concert grand in a normal house. So
yeah,
and it's not a recording studio here. So it's actually quite hard to record it because there's just so many noises outside, people mowing the lawn and dogs, and it's not set up to record. But it is an incredibly beautiful piano, and I'm pretty blessed to have it.
So let's touch on the setup then, Fiona. How do you go about recording on that grandiose piano that you have there?
Well, you start by getting a lot of queen-size mattresses and bringing them in and lining the walls. It's
perfect.
Huge, and I've done it a number of times, and you literally just turn the piano room into like a tent city. You've got duvets and pillows and stuff absolutely everywhere to try and sort of trap the noise, because a noise, it'll sort of go round and round and round, and you want to actually deaden the room. So it's a bit tricky, and because also you can hear birds outside and crickets. You know what Australia's like, trying to get rid of the sounds.
Yeah, nice.
But I have done it a few times. It's not ideal, and mostly I record in recording studios. But it's to have such a beautiful piano here, it's a shame not to record it at some stage.
Unreal. Do you get to have many sort of, I guess, what do you call it, like house gigs, garden gigs?
Yeah, house concerts, little soirees. I've done that a lot because I feel like I need to share the piano. When you've got something that's that special and that unique, you want people to hear it. So I can fit 25 people in if we're sort of, squashing. And we do house concerts here, and we've done quite a few. It's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. That's unreal. And what do you do who does the dinner then if you're supplying the entertainment?
My husband, he helps out, and everybody brings a plate, and everyone brings wine, and they all sit down there and they have a drink, and halftime we do a bit of a top up, and it's always lovely. And they fill up instantly. Like, I've got a mailing list of about 70 people, and I just send it out once. And the first 25 people to reply come to the concert. It's just, it's great. I love it. It's so much fun. They're great people.
When's the next one? You got one scheduled coming up?
No, I don't. We've had COVID, and I just kind of, the world's changed. At the moment I'm scrambling to find a way to record remotely. So, because if I don't have a piano and I can't go to a studio that's got a piano, because normally I record in the US at Imaginary Road Studios or with Cookie Marinko in San Francisco. So what I've had to do is find a local place that I can go, record a keyboard, send the MIDI file over to Europe, because there's like very few of these player pianos in the world. The piano plays the MIDI file. There's nobody there. It's just like, like a ghost playing the piano. The piano plays it, and then they capture as an audio file, they actually record the piano and then they send it back to me. So I played it in the first place, but it's come back as a piano file, and that to me, I just discovered that last week and I'm so excited.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. That's a game changer.
That's a game changer.
So you brought up COVID. Let's cross the beast while it's here. How is I'd imagine, I won't assume, but how was that sort of impacted, I guess, your entire being and life and career and all sorts?
I used to tour in China. So
wow. Yep.
I mean, go figure. So that's kind of gone because they don't really like us.
Yeah, we'll leave that alone. But yeah, fair enough.
But yes, I've toured China 5 times, and the last time I went for a whole month, and I was playing in concert halls bigger than the Sydney Opera House. And all you have to do is have a beautiful dress. You've got to send them photos of the dresses that you're going to wear.
Really?
God bless, isn't that beautiful? And then so you walk on stage looking absolutely fabulous, and you play, and it's full of people that love piano, and that's it. And it's great. I actually really love touring China, but that's gone. So
yeah, okay, yeah, fair enough.
So there's no touring.
No touring right now.
Because I don't play, pubs and clubs. I'm playing theatres, and it's not happening.
How is the scene? I did hear you say in my quick little, research little period, you mentioned that there's different classifications of the type of music that you specialize in, depending on who you speak to and specifically. Yeah.
In Australia, the word New Age is kind of a dirty word. I still can't figure out why. I'm not quite sure why, but it is. Yep. So, but I am, like if I enter my album into the Grammys, it's New Age. I've had a song on a Grammy-winning album in New Age.
Can we hang on? Sorry, because you strike me as quite someone with a lot of humility. So I don't want to gloss over that. Can you just repeat that last sentence for me? I just want to make sure that I caught that one.
I had a song on a Grammy album, so I didn't win a Grammy. It wasn't my Grammy, but I just wrote one of the songs that was on it. But it was, it was New Age. And if I enter one of my albums, which has not won a Grammy yet, then it's going into New Age. However, I'm also neoclassical. So, but we've got this thing called chart metrics, which is this international way of ranking musicians. And it's a horrendous thing because it takes into account all of our social media, how many people like us, how many people. It's ridiculous. But it also takes into account, things like Pandora, Spotify, Tidal, Amazon, Apple Music, and what our audiences are and how much we get played as well. And in that ranking system, it takes all of that into account. So you just have to get into all of that, and it says that I'm New Age and I'm neoclassical, and I'm ranked in those categories. So. Yeah.
What do you prefer? What if you could pick your choice of, I guess, labeling, for lack of a better word? What would you prefer?
Celtic New Age cross neoclassical, I guess, because I am
like
a lot of what I do is Celtic as well, and I feel sometimes that those genre classifications are really pigeonholing us, and to some degree, if somebody says, who do you sound like, what do you do? Instantly there's a pigeonhole and an expectation. And in some ways, if you sound like somebody else, you don't have a career. You don't have a unique defining style. So that works for you and against you, because it's the hardest thing ever to have a unique defining style, because radio doesn't know where to put you. They don't know where to play you. Yeah. But if you don't have a unique defining style, and you do fit neatly into some category, then you don't have a career. You're never going to create and leave a legacy, because you sound like someone else. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. So the whole, genre classification thing, it's such a discussion, and it can go round and round and round in circles for hours.
Take me back to, how did this all begin for yourself? I'd imagine you were born with talent, but perhaps not at the extent that you have today.
I was 8 years old my mum was 17. I know that was one of the questions. So my grandmother moved in with a 100-year-old German iron frame piano, and I fell madly in love with it. And everybody says that musicians are mathematically minded. No, I don't think I am at all. But I was really good at jigsaw puzzles and kind of, I don't know, just to me, music was like a jigsaw puzzle. So my mum showed me the staff and stave, and she said, okay, so there's the F, and there's where the notes are on the piano, and here's where they are on the manuscript. And to me, that was just a giant jigsaw puzzle. And I just put it together, and I taught myself for release in 6 weeks.
Wow.
And they said, I think we better take her for some lessons.
Yeah.
So I went for lessons, but all I ever really wanted to do was to write my own music. So, but I had to learn classical music in order to be able to do that. So that was where I started, from the age of 8.
Wow. And was it just a continuation on from there, or did it come in and out of season for you a little bit at the beginning?
I stopped to have a family and, a marriage and follow someone else's dreams and career around the world, until eventually, at the age of 38, I went into the recording studio for the first time. I'm 58 now, so I've been doing this for 20 years. Awesome. And I went into the recording studio for the first time, and I don't know what would have happened if I'd done it earlier. I don't know whether I would have been ready for it. Sometimes life gives you the stories that you need to write music about, because it's art. It's all about the ups and the downs, and life and maturity and experience gives you the subject matter. So if I'd sort of done it when I was in my 20s, would I have just been, some kind of ditzy kid trying to, I don't know. I don't know whether, whether I did the right thing waiting or not, but that was what happened. And I feel like I've just been going as fast as I can to make up for lost time.
That's brilliant. Well, it seems to have worked out pretty well for you, Fiona, so I wouldn't lose any sleep over that. You've mentioned that, so in the spirit of transparency, I sent Fiona an email prior requesting 2 truths and a lie. Shoot me 2 truths and a lie, and I'll have a stab in the dark. There's a couple there I think you mentioned. So I'll just bring them back up now. But you mentioned, I'll read the 2 truths and a lie and see if I can work it out with my problem-solving skills. So we've got 3 statements. My mother was 17 when I was born. My grandfather captained the Australian soccer team against South Africa, and I won a Grammy. I'm going to give the tick to the Grammy, and I'm going to, so process of elimination. I'm going to go that, goodness gracious. I'm going to say there's a tricky one here. I'm going to say your mother was 17 when you were born, and I'm going to have a guess that your grandfather did captain the Australian soccer team, but it wasn't against South Africa. Okay,
so the lie is the Grammy, because I didn't win the Grammy. I just had a song on a Grammy album.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Technicality.
And everybody thinks I won a Grammy, and it's always in the media, Grammy winner. It's like, actually, no, I just had a song on it. But the year that happened, we didn't have anyone in Australia that won a Grammy. There were no Grammy winners. So I was like the story, because I had a song on a Grammy winning album. So suddenly the ABC, I was like the headline, Fiona won a Grammy, but I didn't.
Well, it's a great headline for people to supposedly get a little bit wrong, but that's okay.
But my grandfather did captain Australian soccer team against South Africa twice, and he played in the same professional A-grade soccer team as my father, and they went down in soccer history as the first father and son in Australia in A-grade soccer to play.
Wow. So just a family of superstars, eh?
Yeah. So, and his nickname, this is really weird. His nickname was Sonia Heaney, because there was an ice skater called Sonia Heaney. So my grandfather had a style of playing soccer that was very sort of like ballet. And one time, apparently at the World Cup, one of the guys that was doing the commentating, it was in between games, and he said, I'll never forget, this time that I was watching the soccer years and years and years ago, and the most amazing thing I ever saw was Sonia Hennig. He was, to watch him move was just like watching ballet. It was incredible. And whenever I get reviewed playing the piano in a concert, they say that I have a balletic style of playing because I do this whole kind of like this, with my hands. So go figure.
Wow, that's brilliant. Just the universe playing her cards again. Look, you've got I want to touch on your painting, Fiona. I'm quite.
There's one in the background there, actually.
Yeah. So talk to me about that. When did you first get into painting?
I loved art my whole life. I was always one of those kids that had, sort of colouring in pencils, and I was, just always doing design and colour and graphics and stuff like that. So, I decided when my kids went to school that I needed a career, and I thought I'd become an artist. So I started painting, and I had some exhibitions, and I did one at David Jones in Sydney, and I had all sorts of things happening. And then one day I had this epiphany, and I thought, I can actually combine music and art. I could write some music, and I could record it, and I could actually put the manuscript on, into the paintings, and it could be like going to an installation, where you've got music everywhere. So I did that. Wow. And I ended up, I took down 500 names of people that would just like my whole album when I recorded one, which I didn't have. And
so a pre-sale, essentially.
Somehow or other, somebody from Holborn Music discovered this little recording that I had. I think I had 3 songs on it. And they said, yeah, we'll have that, thanks. And we'll have your next 5 albums. And it just took off. And so clearly my music was better than my art.
Brilliant.
And I called my mum and I said, oh, Mum, look, I sold half my paints, but you're not going to believe what happened to my music.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's unreal.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's happening today, Fiona? What you've got COVID's interrupted everything.
Bit of rain outside.
Yep, lovely. What's the what's the most exciting thing happening in your world at the moment?
I've discovered the back garden because
lovely.
Because we sort of live in a house that's kind of up high. I call it a tree house because we look out on the trees. And I just hardly ever went down to the backyard apart from just to get a lemon off the lemon tree. And during COVID, I think like most people, you just get a little bit bored and a little bit flat and a little bit. So we got a dog. Yeah. So now I pretty much live in the backyard.
Yeah,
I've got this gorgeous, gorgeous dog. I won't let him in because he'd jump up and he'd have his nose right there. He's really lovely. So that's one of the greatest things that's happened, that's come out of COVID for me, is the dog, the backyard, and then we built the equivalent of Stonehenge because we decided that we'd build a stone fireplace, and it's like huge, but we've had a great time doing that.
That's awesome.
So my life is very local, very at home, and now I've learned how to record and do music remotely from home as well. So
that's so good. That's such a game changer. That one.
Adapting. It's about
yeah. Exactly. Okay, so I guess I'm really intrigued over. Because whenever you're the center of your own, I guess, being, you sort of have different perspectives from everyone else as outsiders looking in, right? So, through everything that you've succeeded in so far, what would you class as, I guess, either your biggest win or something that sort of stands out for you, or even a couple? What sort of stands out for you?
So the moments I love the most is that moment at the piano where I discover a new set of notes or a new rhythm, and it's something that really, really gets me, and it really excites me, and it just drives me to finish that piece of music. That's what I love. And I love those moments in the recording studio where you've got a session musician and they just do something, and you just sit there and you've just got tears running. Everyone's just sitting there in the studio watching, and it's just one of those, amazing moments. That's what I really love. But I think the biggest achievement, apart from playing at Carnegie Hall 3 times,
Yeah, perfect. That's brilliant.
Is actually being asked, like I've won so many IMA awards, Independent Music Awards, which is the US international one under the Grammys.
Yeah.
So probably the same as the Music Awards, but I've won quite a few times, and they asked me to present awards. That was so much fun. That for me, that was an achievement. That was great to actually present awards. That was a highlight.
Who's some of your, I guess, idols in the space, or who would you consider, who are you a fan of, I guess?
George Winston.
Yep.
George Winston was doing, when I was 19 years old and I lived in San Francisco, I heard George Winston, and it just made my heart stop, because that was what I wanted to do. That was what I thought that I could do. He's a more sort of masculine version of what I do. It's more kind of circular in his writing, but I listened to it and I thought, I think I can do this. And I'm his biggest fan ever. But he was what really switched me on to the possibility that I could actually do what I believed and thought that I could do. Because you don't want to put your big toe in the water in case you fail. And then you hear somebody else doing it and you think, wow, that's so awesome. And that was George Winston. Yeah. I love Ludovico Einaudi. I love so many of the other musicians in this genre, and I love Enya as well.
Yeah. Okay. Do you get to play sort of every day? Do you want to play every day? Like, how does that sort of? How do you go about that?
When COVID first started, because I was used to touring for 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
I did live stream concerts from my piano there, and I got all the gear, and I kind of learned how to put together a good live stream. And I think I did something like 60 live streams in that first year. Wow. And I think I OD'd. And then I stopped. And, I don't think I've practiced since. I'm writing music, but there's a different headspace between writing music and practicing for concerts. I don't think I've done a practice session since. I'm actually really out of practice. If I had to do a concert, but I'm writing madly, so at least my fingers are still moving, which is great.
Can you talk? Okay, so talk to me about the different headspace then, as far as obviously practicing, rehearsing. Is that more of an analytical and I mean, I won't assume, but talk to me more about what that sort of means as far as the different headspaces.
One's technical and one's creative. It's the yin and the yang. And they're totally different headspaces. You have to separate them. You can't mix the two in the same session at the piano, because, the only time that you get to mix the creative with the business brain, because, you think of the left and the right, is when you do an interview of some sort, to be honest, because then you've got to be creative, because everyone's interested in the creative process. You've got to have a business mind, because you've got to think, what am I actually saying here? But with the piano, I never put the two directly together, and I try not to be recording an album and doing a concert series at the same time, because it's actually does your head in.
Wow, that's really intriguing. That's awesome. So when you're, and this is, I guess, from my own selfish, curious point of view, when you are in that creative space, do you have, like, are you just writing and exploring for the sake of exploring your emotions? Do you have an outcome? I'm writing this towards, I want to find a song, I want to write an album. What does that sort of process, I guess, look like for you?
I'm a conceptual writer, so I have to have subject matter and storyteller. So I've got to have something to write about. But every now and again, I've got a deadline. And that's when your classical training comes in, and you think, okay, all right, I know I've got enough musical chops here and enough skills and enough classical training. I can put this together without having a creative moment, without having something that just sort of comes from some other place, which is what you hope for, but it doesn't always happen like that. But I do like to work when I've got that, I don't know, that magic happening, where I have nothing else on. I get up, I walk around the garden, I pat the dog, I have coffee, I sit down, I write music. And I'm just in that really creative zone. I hate having to do it because I've got to finish something. Yeah, so I like to have something to write about. a theme or, a story or somewhere I've been. There's always something behind my songs.
What's your, you may not have one, feel free to list 12, but what, and this may, some may fall in and out of season for you, I guess, but do you have a piece and or a song that you've written that sort of stands out? Or I guess, do you have any favorite songs that you've written?
Yeah, I do actually, because I don't listen to my own music very often, but if I had to listen to my music, he said, I'm going to make you listen to your own music.
Yeah.
There'd be a couple of songs that I would choose, and it would be limited. There would be some that I just would not listen to. I just would go la 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 la.
That's so interesting. Why is that?
I don't know. And they're not necessarily everyone else's favourite. That's the weird thing. One is Contemplating with Luca Bloom. You know the Irish singer Luca Bloom?
I haven't, not yet, but I will definitely go and explore that afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah. So Contemplating and Calling Earth, which is on Signature Synchronicity.
Yeah.
They would be the two songs that I could just listen to the detail and go, as if it's somebody else's song, and think, wow, I really like this. This is great. But most of my songs, and I like Tolling of the Fire Bell as well. So I like the more neoclassical stuff than straight new age.
That was my next question. What do you, is there any consistencies in those pieces that do you think grabs you, or a more direct question, I guess, would be what is it, do you think, that sort of stands out for yourself and is the appeal?
Well, I think Calling Earth and Tolling of the Fire Bell are more sophisticated. So Story of Ghosts would be one of my favourite albums, because it is really sophisticated. It's really raw and more sophisticated. Mistakes through it, you can hear mistakes. I can hear mistakes, but I love that. I actually love that because I know what I was going through when I recorded it, and I know how raw. And I was going through hell. I couldn't sleep, and then I'd turn up at the recording studio, scratching my head, thinking, "Oh, what am I playing? Where am I? What am I?" And I just sit down and pour my heart out. And what came out was what you got. And so I actually still love listening to that album. So. Yeah, but there are other, like my first two albums, I hate them. They're horrible.
Wow. Okay.
My second album has got more plays on Spotify, and in fact, at one stage, I thought, I don't want that representing me, and I took it off Spotify. My biggest tracks off Spotify, gone. And then I thought, oh geez, I better put it back on. So I went and had it remastered, so it was just softened and had the edge taken off it, because I thought it was a bit brittle. And then I put it up again, and it's bloody hell, the songs are right up the top again, and I don't even want anyone to listen to them.
Wow, isn't that interesting? I guess the market is the market, eh? But,
the market's the market, and the more simple stuff that people can connect with is what they connect with. And I look at it and go, well, hang on a minute, that's just basic. I can do better than that. But they don't necessarily want deep and meaningful. So
yeah, okay, yeah, okay, fair enough.
The mass audience they just want something that they can connect with and identify with and understand that's piano music and has a melody.
Have you got, I guess, whether it be a support network around you or fellow musicians that you sort of vibe with and seem to find yourself working with more often than not?
Yeah, I've been fortunate to work with some amazing people in the US, which obviously hasn't happened, may not for a while. So I've learnt this craft, I guess, from Will Ackerman, and I've been very, very blessed with that, because when I first went to Imaginary Road Studios, my first 3 albums have been done on the keyboard. I hadn't even recorded on a piano. So I went over to Will's, and it's a different world. An acoustic world is different to the MIDI world. And it was a big learning curve for me. I'd never had a session musician in the way that they record. So I learned so much from Will Ackerman. And I remember saying to him, I really, really want to be a producer. And he just looked at me and he said, look, Fiona, I've worked with hundreds of people, because he was the founder of Wyndham Hill Records, which is still probably one of the biggest boutique labels in the history of music, massive. And and said, I've worked with a lot of people, and there's only two that I would think that were. No, actually, I think it was one that was good enough to be a producer. And then at the end of the album, when we were at Bob Ludwig's airport, when we were mastering the album, he turned around and just looked at me and went, "And you're the other one."
That's awesome.
So I learnt my Wyndham Hill aesthetics from Will Ackerman.
Wow.
Yeah. So very, very lucky like that. But in terms of business, nobody. I've muddled through and made every mistake in the world and worked all by myself by making mistakes. No help with any of that.
What do you think is, I guess, one of the lessons that sort of stands out to yourself? You're like, I'm glad I made that because now I know this. Like, is there anything that you've sort of gone, gosh, that was something?
I think the biggest lesson is be a musician first. Put the music first. Put out the best music that you can put out. Have integrity with the music, because I've seen there are a lot of people out there that have got okay music, brilliant marketing, brilliant business skills, brilliant at IT, and they're huge, they're massive, but they're not creating or leaving a legacy. As the minute they stop, going, it's going to crash. Whereas there are other people that are brilliant musicians, and they don't have that ability, and they're not doing so well, but their music will still be there. So I'd like to think that somehow I might be in the middle, and that I might have enough skills at both just to stay competitive and carve out a little spot for myself, just to be viable as a full-time musician.
That's brilliant. What's sort of in the music space? Have you put much? It sounds like you've, I guess, taken a breath and really enjoyed, being at home and tending to the garden, a beautiful dog, all that sort of stuff as well. Have you had an opportunity to think of sort of what's sort of next? What's the next sort of chapter for yourself?
Well, there's things I still want to explore, like NFTs, felted piano, and I'm still working and I'm still being creative. And if ever I got invited back to China, I'd be there in a heartbeat. But I just don't see that happening. I don't want to do all the couch surfing that you have to do with touring in Australia. I will never apply for a grant in this country ever again, because it's a giant, massive waste of time, and it's an absolute insult to your ability. So I'm not applying for grants. I don't want to tour here. Very little support in Australia, which means, I have to figure out a way to work the money. Will I tour overseas again? Maybe, but I'm 58. I'm at a stage now where I'm on a flight business class.
Exactly.
On a musician's budget, how's that going to work?
Have you you've done, especially in COVID, you mentioned the 60 odd live streams. Have you put much thought to the idea of potentially virtual concerts, and $10 a person or something like that? I'm not sure.
I'm going to have to get back to it. I'm going to have to. But this little break to have the dog and play tennis and spend some time in the backyard, it's been really lovely. But I do at some point need to get back to practicing that piano and doing live concerts. And I think I'll probably do them on Bandcamp, I guess, and sell tickets. I did them on Facebook for a while when everything was free. And sure, I had millions of people watch over the course of the 60 concerts. And it was really lovely. But it was costing me to put those concerts on. People could donate, and they were but I had somebody in Los Angeles, chatting to everybody. And then I had somebody here doing the camera, and it ended up costing me. So I need to find, I think I got burnt out. 60 concerts is a lot. That's a lot, when you've got to do the tech and everything. Mm-hmm. So I will get back to it, and I will practice my repertoire. And, I've had some time.
And fair enough. You mentioned NFTs, and I can't recall what stage this sort of come in. We were talking about NFTs prior. Obviously, it's a new idea. You know, the back end and the smart contract element of it, the technology is, it's going to change the world. You know, my limited understanding of it is it's huge.
Blockchain technology. Yeah, everybody says how brilliant it is, but nobody's actually worked out how to use it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
You know, like they're saying that it could be a way for song identification. And all the brilliant minds in the world, and I know some of these people, are working on how this can work. You know, we've got ISRC codes, we've got all these different codes and all these different registrations that we do with our songs. But, you know, there's got to be some way with using that technology. Nobody can find a real way to make it work. You know, and NFTs, are they working? I don't know. I don't know. Mm-hmm. From what I've seen, it's pretty hit and miss. It's the Wild West. You can get incredibly ripped off. Until I put my big toe in the water and actually upload my first song, I won't be sure. I can't tell you. But I found it very interesting, just the whole process of how it works. You know, like you have to, it's a different language, it's a different banking system, and it's really quite, it's not for the faint-hearted.
Yeah. Anything new, especially when it comes to technology, like I can barely bloody stream Google cast my bloody laptop, you know what I mean? So I've been attracted to the space, but it's definitely been a steep learning curve for myself. Do you, and again, I'll just spitball on the fly here, I guess, Fiona, do you have any idea on how many sort of art pieces or painting pieces that you have at the moment?
I don't have a lot of art. I've sold most of what I painted. I wouldn't use art for NFTs because that's more about a digital image, which I suppose I could take digital. But see, if you take a digital image of the art, you can't sell the painting because somebody else will photograph it. And so what I will use it for, see, there's the whole thing. People don't understand the IP side of it. What I'll use it for is for songs. So you still own your intellectual property in your song. You've registered your song, you own the writing in it, you collect on that, you do your master recording, you release it through Tidal and Apple Music and Spotify, but you do a single recording that you will never ever use, and you sell that. And that's what you're selling. And it's a one-off. And it's the same with photographs. So people can take a photograph and manipulate the art, graphic art, and they're selling that. And that can never be sold again. They might do 5 different colorways in it and sell each one. So it's really finding its own place and finding its own sensibility. And I'm not really seeing a sensibility in it yet.
Yeah, it's so early. There's an author, I believe it's Mark Manson. What was his huge book? Was it The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, I believe?
Yeah.
So he's trialing something. Yeah. I was like,
and everybody needs to read that book. Can I say?
I haven't read it. Is so it comes recommended. He's trialing something in the NFT space.
Yes.
He's actually, I'm not sure if you saw it, but he's looking at breaking down his book into quotes. And then essentially selling the individual quotes from his book as NFTs.
Do that? How is he going to do that? Because where's the value? Because it's not a one-off. Is he going to take a photograph of that quote, like so that and sign it and then sell that? Because I don't understand. See, that the whole intellectual property side of it is donating, actually.
So here's where it gets interesting, because people are just used to, I guess, the profile pic side of NFTs.
Yeah.
You know, silly cartoon pics that are selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars. I shouldn't say silly. That's very flippant of me. But Mark, because we're on first name basis, obviously, but he's trialing something interesting. I'm not 100% across it, But I believe he's, as far as the individual quotes, whatever he's selling, he's giving away, not giving away, but he's sharing commercial rights, meaning if someone mints a specific phrase or sentence or however he's divvying it up, for example, they could then go ahead and sell a bunch of hoodies with the quote on their hoodie.
So he's selling it for a purpose. Got you. Okay.
Yes.
So it's qualifying the usage. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
And this is what's the really interesting part, is because we're on day one of NFTs, it's the utility element where at this point in time, because we've just taken our first step, really the only ceiling is our creativity or what we believe, we could have as the utility. So the smart contract, the contract side of things, that just makes sense.
Yeah.
In 10 years, it'll be leases, it'll be gym passes, it'll be everything.
All sorts of things. And you will just qualify the usage and that will become part of the blockchain. So what I was thinking of doing, and everyone said, oh, no, you can't do that. Yes, you can. I was thinking of recording just an improvisation and then just selling it. And it's not only is that recording yours, but you can have the intellectual property. You can upload that to Spotify and have a go at being a musician, put your name on it, do whatever you want with it. But, pay me $8,000.
Yeah, okay.
$5,000 is the minimum.
Yeah.
And do that rather than just selling a recording. But then my son, who's a bit of a cryptocurrency expert, he said, but Mum, they'll be buying it because they want Fiona Joy Hawkins. So if you take that away and give it to them and let them put their name on it, is that necessarily what they want? So this is the sort of thing I've got to test.
Yeah. Have you looked? Go on, sorry.
To find out what they're interested in and what a potential market for me would be. And a potential market for me would be very different to, say, a rapper who's super, super famous, got millions of fans. They just want a piece of that rapper. But maybe somebody doesn't want a piece of me. They don't want, my name. Maybe they really do want to have a go at being a musician, owning a bit of music that they can put their name on. Maybe.
Interesting. There's a few, we could talk about this all night, but accessibility for, do you have a handful of like super fans that sort of
I do.
Yeah.
They're amazing. One of them started up a fan club.
That's brilliant.
He's in Poland. And oh my gosh, he's just a Hubert. He might even be watching. I don't know if you can tell if it depends what time it is in Poland.
He might catch a replay.
It might be, 3:00 in the morning. But he runs a fan club and it's just, I look at it and I think, oh wow, these people are just amazing. And they share everything I do. So, and it's, it's really great because that is what gets your music out there. It's the people that believe in you, that really get what you do and understand your music, that help you to get it out there. And that's so important. But I obviously don't have enough super fans because I'm good.
Well, but that's where the accessibility could come in. In that, to your point, here's a bit of music you can have for $8,000, and I hope we're talking US prices here, Fiona, because that's pretty cheap.
Well,
of course,
it's converting from Ether, of course, to US dollars.
100%. And admit that's the floor price. But yes, you could have this little bit of music, and maybe a FaceTime where I can play you your bit of music live or whatever else, maybe 15 minutes, half an hour.
Yeah.
So as far as that access side
of
things,
all sorts of add-ons. Speaking of add-ons, YouTube have just given us, it's still in beta, a way to monetize our YouTube channels, and we can now have memberships so people can join. In the past they've subscribed to our YouTube channels, but then they can join our YouTube channels. And so we set the prices, we set the perks, and that's really interesting. So you can start to qualify what people get for each amount of money that they spend with you. So sorry, I just thought of that.
That's awesome.
Talking about add-ons.
Yeah, huge. Okay, I haven't heard of that. Looked into that.
Yeah,
yet.
I haven't seen anyone else in my genre do it yet. I'm usually the person that puts their head on the chopping block.
the pioneer.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is one of my favorite questions, and I don't recall. It's my favorite question. No, of course not. But I don't recall where I bloody heard it from. But the question goes a little something like, what's one thing you wish you knew before starting your journey that you know now?
Do you know, I wrote a letter to myself. I went and did one of these, these courses that you do. You go and do this self-betterment course. And they said that, can you write a letter to yourself now can you write a letter now to your younger self? And then we're going to mail it to you. And it's sitting up on the fridge, and I wish I had it down here right now, because it's actually really interesting what I wrote. All these things about how important sleep is. If you're having enough sleep, make sure that you get your sleep right. Don't drink too much. All these incredible things. But I don't know what the one. That's a tough one. What do most people say? Something deep and meaningful, obviously. What would you say?
What would I say? Wow. What would I say? Yeah, I like that. No one's ever done that before, Fiona. Well done. What would I say? Probably just take action is probably the biggest thing. I had a conversation with a lovely young gentleman at work today, actually at lunch. It was in around the idea of where he's going with his career and all that sort of stuff. And he had some reservations about not having it all figured out. Yeah. And then I just reminded him, you're 21. Like no one has it figured out at 21. No. But when you take action in where you think you're going to go, then life will present another opportunity and you'll be able to pivot into that space. But if you don't take that initial first step, then that next opportunity won't show itself to you. So probably just to take action would be my advice to my younger self.
Yeah. And that's a great one. I think also self-respect.
Huge.
Self-respect. I think we would all do a lot of the things that we get around to doing eventually a lot earlier if we had self-respect.
Yep. Excellent.
And if you haven't got self-respect, how do you be of any use to anybody? How do you achieve anything? How do you put any value into the world if you don't have value in yourself? I think it's one of those things that we need to really encourage everybody to have self-respect. And that doesn't mean being selfish, because that's a very, very different thing. Like you can't put yourself first all the time, but to have self-respect and to believe in yourself is super, super important. So I probably say that.
Do you think we're shying away from that as we, I guess, mature, at least in this country, historically, the new generations coming through? Do you think there's something we're shying away from? Just got distracted from my beautiful wife poking her head in there.
So it's ready. It's dinner ready.
No, I think we got a snake. I'll have to jump out in a minute.
No, what sort of snake have you got?
No. As in, we got a couple of smaller cats. She's good. She's giving us thumbs up. It's all sorted. So anyway, we're on in Brisbane, but more in sort of west side. There's a lot of open space and greenery and shrubbery. So we have carpet pythons and all sorts. But anyway, that was quite a disruption. Apologise for that.
I mean, apparently in Queensland, I was hearing all those people that were up in their roof spaces with the floods, that something incredible, like one in so many houses has got a python snake in the roof. Like it was something like 1 in 3 or something ridiculous.
Wow.
And that's because that's where they live. In fact, I'm just going to show you this really quickly.
Please. Yeah.
Don't want to break it. I've got to be careful. These are collected from my roof spaces here. Look how
wow.
These are the
Oh, they're from your place?
Yeah. Well, one of them is from the service station, because we have an old service station that we did up, and we rent out for various usages. And so one of these was in the kitchen, and then the other one was in the roof space. So that's pythons.
Yeah, they're not small, Fiona. They are
pythons, and they're matching. So there you go.
Wow.
I'm hanging here because I actually really like snakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it about snakes that you enjoy or you find intriguing?
I don't know. I think they're really gentle. Obviously not browns or even
Yeah.
black. I don't like browns or blacks, and I've had a few. I've come across a few of them in my time.
Have you?
Little Hartley had a brown in the house, and horrible. But I think carpet snakes and little green tree snakes are lovely.
Yep. Yeah. What wildly, I guess, misinterpreted as far as in nature. To your point, though, brown snakes, aggressive bastards, but outside of that.
And black snakes, people say they're not aggressive. They can be really aggressive. So
what's your worst experience with a snake?
I've had one come at me out of nowhere, and I was carrying a feed bucket, and I had to throw the feed bucket at it. But the worst one, we had a fence, right? And it's an electric fence, so you don't go over it. You're going to go under it. And there was actually quite a big gap. So I thought, I'll just go under the fence here. So I went down, and I'm coming like this, and I'm coming up like this, and I get up, and there it is, right there, head looking at my face, and it's a black snake, and I went back under.
Wow.
And it's still there, and I'm going, okay, I'm on the other side of the fence now. I'm just going really slowly. So I've had that, and I've had a brown in the house, and another car, and little Hartley. There was lots of snakes, and then another time I had because I had some netting, some bird netting that had come down off one of the fruit trees, and I thought, what's in this netting? And I'm holding it up like this, and there's a brown snake in it.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
I haven't had.
This is Australia. You've really got to learn to deal with snakes. If you're going to live outside Sydney.
Yeah, exactly. I've only had sort of two. One was a brown snake, but it was across a path, 4 meters ahead. I've gone, okay, well, there's a brown snake. Let's just walk somewhere else. Yeah. There's another story which I won't actually tell. I'll share it with you off there. It might.
I love snakes.
Upset a few people. Yeah. We'll throw it out there. Apologies to the Peter lovers.
Sorry. There's a lot of people that hate snakes, and I've been told on my Instagram page, can you stop posting photos of spiders? So this was a couple of years ago. Can you please stop posting photos? Because I like spiders too.
I find that intriguing. So what do you think was the reason to stop for someone to request?
I don't know, because I just find it fascinating. And I've got there's a lot of spiders here, and huge spider webs, and there's great big tree spiders, and they're all on the back deck, and they're just there, and I'll just go out and talk to them. And they're quite happy. They don't mind me. But some people are arachnophobes, and they just absolutely hate them, and they don't want to see any spiders. So
wow.
Please stop.
I've always found it intriguing people's requests for someone else to stop posting specific subject matter or topics. I just think you can scroll past it, or you can unfollow. I don't understand that, but that's who
I have since learned that really only people only want to go to my Instagram page. So I've actually refined.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that's the truth. Yeah.
Yep.
Nothing else.
Okay, fair enough.
I put a photo of my dog up, they don't care. Okay, I put a photo of whatever. They're not interested. They just want me playing the piano, and that's it.
Yeah, okay. Do you enjoy, how do you use Instagram, social media? Do you enjoy it? Is it purely a thing to connect with your fans and community? What's your sort of take on that?
I think social media, it's really sad that it's included in things like chart metrics, and that we're actually ranked and rated by our social media. It's a great way to connect with the audience, and that's how I look at it, rather than just, numbers. And it's a great way to connect with people, to gather audience, to let them know that you've got a new song out or a new video or whatever. I was really lucky in that 1 year where I did the 60 live stream concerts, because now it's all about content, and it's content to the point where nobody can keep up with it. So I've got those 60 45-minute concerts, and I can go through and chop them all up. I had to learn how to use iMovie last year as well. And I can chop them all up, and I can release songs and snippets and bits and pieces for the next 10 years because I did all those concerts. So, so I'm good for social media. I've got heaps and heaps of content. I don't have to worry about that. But I feel sorry for people that say, what are we going to post? What are we going to do? It's hard to think of stuff.
Yeah. I saw you're on TikTok as well, which is another one of those.
Oh, look, I just gave that a go. I thought, what? Look, everyone's talking about TikTok. Why? So I started doing it. I didn't start it that long ago, and I think I've got 160. I think it's a waste of time.
It's an interesting, and it's always tough trying to keep up with the new platforms and what's sort of hot and what's not. Yeah. I guess I think you may find value in a gentleman by the name of Gary V or Gary Vaynerchuk. I'll send you a link to his stuff afterwards. But as far as, I guess, using social media as a tool for what it's supposed to be used for, he knows all the tips and hacks and that sort of stuff. And one of the main benefits of TikTok at the moment is the fact that its organic reach is so strong. As opposed, and you may find it yourself, like, how long have you had Instagram for?
I've had Instagram, gosh, I don't know, 8 years, and I've got 15.3 thousand. It's all, I don't pay for people to follow me.
That's awesome. That's huge.
But I do reach out with quite targeted pieces to where I know my fan base is, to sort of get more people in, like Italy.
Yep.
I might do it, reaching out to people in Italy to get them to go and look at something or to sign up to my YouTube. So I try and sort of link it together that way, but I don't. Yeah, the whole numbers game, it's pretty silly, isn't it? That the value of you as an artist is based on those numbers.
Yeah. No, you bang on. And this is me again being selfish and curious, I guess, Fiona. But, you've been on Instagram for 8 odd years, as you say, and you've had great success there. Have you found, I guess, the organic reach when you post something, 5, 6, 7 years ago compared to today, has that sort of reach?
Oh yeah.
Has it dropped? Has it?
Yeah, I'll get hundreds and hundreds of people watching a video now, sometimes thousands.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's growing, and it grows all by itself, and I think but it's Instagram's weird too, because everybody says you shouldn't be following. You're supposed to unfollow somebody if they're not following you, and all these kind of rules. I don't follow any of those rules. I just put stuff up there.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just you know a lot more than me, but to me, it's just a bit of a waste of energy worrying too much about what other people are doing and what the algorithm's doing.
It's how you reach out to your fan base and tell them what you're doing, and that's all that matters, isn't it?
Exactly. I just thought of this question now, and I'd be curious.
Sorry, I've got a runny nose. I've got a cold today. It's not COVID.
Have you? Oh,
I did a rat test that came back negative.
Did you?
Yeah, I think I'm good.
It's probably not COVID. Probably fine.
It could be COVID, but I haven't got. No, I wouldn't.
Have you had the spicy cough yet?
No, I haven't. I don't know what it would be even. I mean, I've had the 2 vaccinations and the booster, and I mean, I've just got a cold, still runny nose. So.
Yeah, well, we'll be fine.
I'll be fine.
Is there if I were to say to you, is there a song that you love that you wish you had written? Is there anything that sort of jumps out to yourself?
Yeah, the theme song in the Titanic. I'll be rich.
Yeah.
And everyone would know my name. No. Just beautiful music like that, It's just
That's brilliant. Is there anything that we've missed that you'd want to sort of make sure that we highlight or spotlight before we let you go tonight?
No, just maybe high resolution music, because I've been a big advocate of high resolution music, and I'm not huge with IT, even though I'm sort of looking at NFTs and stuff like that. I'm not like a really techie sort of person. But I really value high resolution music, because I think we sort of spent a lot of time listening on little phones to compressed music. And I think it's really exciting that, you know, that we have new formats like DSD and, you know, that people actually recording on tape and doing all these amazing high resolution things and doing, you know, surround sound, SACDs and that sort of thing. So that's to me, that's important, high resolution music.
So let's expand on that a little bit whilst we're here. What is high resolution music?
High resolution music in a technical sense was considered 44.1, which is record, that's CD quality, but that's nuts, that's crazy. It's anything bigger than that. So, you know, if you've got the 96 files, which is what you use to make vinyl, so that's what you'd use to make an SACD. DSD is even bigger than that again, and tape is absolutely massive. So there's a whole pile of different formats that you've probably heard of, like FLAC. There's lots and lots of them. If you've got a Bandcamp, they give you, I think, an option of 6 formats that you can download, which is really, you just import, you know, one format and then they sort of, I don't know how they do it, but yeah, so without being a techie person and not being able to give you all the back end of it, I just know it sounds better, okay?
Yeah, brilliant. There's a question. I keep thinking of these questions. I don't want to tie you up too long, Fiona, but have you explored, I guess, the idea of recording in different frequencies at all?
You mean like tuning, different tunings in terms of frequencies, like instead of you know, 440, maybe 438 or
yes, 36. Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't get that. I don't understand.
Nor do I. But I thought
I think that's a bit museum for me.
Yeah.
I just know if I go on stage, right?
Yeah.
And they've tuned that piano to 443 because the last person had an oboist, so that's what you do. Right, and I want it at 440, and then I go to play and sing. There's something wrong with that piano.
Yeah, okay.
Just doesn't feel right. Does not feel right if it's not 440, 441, and I'm going, there's something here, there's something odd, there's something wrong with this piano. So I don't know what 438 even feels like. That we just, and I don't know why people do it. I don't get it. I know this binaural thing and this, you know, frequency and it makes you feel relaxed and whatever, but I just haven't got it. Have you got any
standout sort of live gigs that you've played previously? That
Carnegie Hall, the Grammy Museum, the Jazz Museum in New Orleans, Carnegie Hall. I've played at some great places, and I got to play in the Opera House for the Music Halls Awards.
Yeah, right. Wow.
Just one song.
Yeah. What did you play?
Contemplating, and I did because I was the classical winner the year previous. So I had an ACO violinist, and I had a cellist, and a Mongolian throat singer.
Get out.
Yeah. So the camera went up to this, you know, this little booth, right, and there he is, and he's in the Mongolian clothes, and he came in and you're doing all this Mongolian. It was awesome. It was just absolutely amazing. I loved it. But the problem was that we did our sound check and everything was fine in sound check, right? So I'm on stage and I'm singing and I'm doing harmonies with Becky, who's playing violin and singing at the same time because we're a really weird group of musicians. and I'm thinking, oh, this is sounding great. Harmonies are going really well, singing away, you know, looking at the audience, and I can hear myself singing in the monitors, and it's not going out to the audience. So all they're seeing is me going, making the you know, the movements, but there's no sound coming out. And it's like, are you guys for real? This is come on. Anyway, it was a good experience, and apparently we got a standing ovation. So probably because we were older than everyone else, but it was great. They're all like
awesome.
14, you know.
Yeah, perfect. Probably finding you on Instagram and TikTok, live streaming it and whatever else.
Yeah, actually, no, there's a thought. Yeah, that's how you find them. That you go to the Music Halls Awards.
Yeah, these days. Fiona, I want to thank you for sharing your story. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
I've got one last question.
Yeah.
Well, two technically, but one main one. If there was something that your fan club could help you with, I guess here's your opportunity to be really, really selfish. What's one thing that they could do that would just brighten your life, I guess?
Just share my music with somebody, with one other person, you know, say, hey, there's this musician that you might like, and you know, where do you listen to music? Spotify, do you listen on Pandora? You'll find them there, go and have a listen. Just sharing the music. That's how you get it out there. It happens one person at a time. Yeah,
nice. That's beautiful. All right, Fiona. So where can people find you most importantly? Where's the best spot?
Music. There's no, you know, when you've got a digital aggregator these days, the music goes out everywhere that you find music. So, you know, if you put Fiona Joy Hawkins on Spotify or whatever, it's there. Please follow me. That really helps, you know, it helps to, stats.
Yeah, lovely. Well, ladies and gents, do yourself a favour. Fiona Joy Hawkins, find her on all the major platforms, Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, all sorts, SoundCloud, Bandcamp.
And in the backyard now, because I'm just going.
And in the backyard. Brilliant. So we'll follow up, but I'd love to go to one of your in-house concerts. So I have to join the mailing list, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, join the mailing list. That's how you find
join the mailing list. What's the website? Just want to make sure I get that one right.
Just go to fionajoy.com, and there's a mailing list you can sign up to there. So yeah.
Excellent. fionajoy.com. Fiona, thank you once again. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Ladies and gents, we'll see you very shortly. Thanks, Fiona.
Thank you.